Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, What Life Was Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining us today is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Cumlo. He personally offers and leads public and private tours, as well as presentations of historical sites within communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. Currently, the communities he has chosen to focus on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight the local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. Today's episode, we will be discussing the Springfield Street Cemetery, located in Agawam, Mass. So tell us about the Springfield Street Cemetery.
The cemetery. Now, the sign on it says it was probably started 1815. I would more likely think that it started around 1842 when the burials became much more regular. And that's such an enormous gap of years in the early years, sign that maybe those are just cenotaphs. All right, now you can find it very easily. It's on Springfield Street, of course, but near Mill Street and across the street from the Catholic Church. All right, today we're going to talk about the cemetery, this Potter's Field, how it's been divided up, and how come it's such a popular place among Agawam people. Now, something really interesting inside there. There's a Seth Listwill. He, in 1865, died in Andersonville prison in the Southern Confederacy. Now, his name is in this cemetery, but everyone in Andersonville that died there is buried there. None of them were taken back to the north, so his gravestone is a cenotaph. All right, and it'd be good to look him up. It's on a limestone or marble gravestone. Now, there's lots of interesting stones inside of here, so it's nice to walk around and see things.
And tell us about the Potter's Field in the cemetery.
The Potter's Field is towards the back left, and there's a mix of babies and adults that are buried, and they're buried free of charge on the deceased family. They're buried by Agawam itself. The family didn't have enough money. And some later will get stones, a few, but if there's 100 burials back there, only about 8 of them have stones, and that's very low. And this is very typical all the way to the back right or back left of these all-time cemeteries. Now, there's been an addition added to the back where you go down a narrow driveway in the back and you're in a larger modern part in the back. So it goes back further, but the old part of the cemetery had the Potter's Field, and that's this front and back portion.
And really quick before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to find out more information or sign up for any of his various tours, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there you can find videos and podcasts of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites throughout as well. And for private tours and other inquiries, you can email him directly at bobcat4214, capital B, @yahoo.com. And his tours make for fun, educational, outdoor activities for families and group parties. So getting back to our interview, how is the cemetery divided up into historical eras?
All right, towards the front you have a mixture of modern and old. And if you want to get to the really old, most of them are in the back left and middle section left and center. All right, so that's where the modern part, the old part is. The modern portions that have been added on are towards the right, both front and back. And then definitely down the driveway, sloping down to the back and curving to the left, there's a big modern section back there. All right, so the old part is not necessarily in the front of this cemetery. And so keep that in mind if you're doing genealogical research or if you just like it for a local historical perspective. And it's a well taken care of cemetery. And remember that it's kind of new compared to most cemeteries, so it doesn't have the ancient part. It has only a few of the old brownstones Then it goes very quickly into the marble era. It has a few obelisks surrounded by personal stones, and then it starts with the very modern from 1890s onwards.
And why is this cemetery popular in Agawam?
It's popular among people both to visit because it's on a busy street, and it serves all of the churches of Agawam. So it's neither Protestant, Christian, Jewish, or Catholic. It's non-denominational. So anyone can be buried here. And there's a Catholic church across the street from it, so Catholics are being buried in. There's a lot of Protestants in Agawam, and there's very few large cemeteries in Agawam. Of course, there's the Agawam Center one, but this is a great option. And so it's popular because it's large, well taken care of, easy to visit, and for all those reasons, it's a great place also for you to go visit and find out what it's all about. You'll find some really cool stones there. I found the Wilcox families, which use a Sears Roebuck style. Yeah, I also found a deacon there. His name was Philip Smith, born in 1789 and died in 1857. And then in the pauper section, you're going to find out that the burials are by numbers. So there's like a 3, a 5, right? And these numbers help the superintendent of the cemetery figure out where the next burials would have to go. So I encourage you to go there and learn about it.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And of course, we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And check out a large selection of our other podcasts on his website, as well as on SoundCloud.com. And be sure to stay up to date with new podcasts and videos posted daily. Thank you, and hope you join us again.